Hey everyone, Sheldon here, and this is another video on the paper bike. So basically I've just been putting it underneath these boards and then just stacking textbooks or something on top of it to keep everything flat. So I'm just going to take these off and show you guys what it looks like right now. So here it is. Right now it's 85 layers thick, which is 0.390, and you know, it's really sturdy and actually a lot heavier than I thought it would be. You know, I knew it was going to be heavy, but not this heavy. And you can see I've been sticking with the adding 4-layer strips method, which seems to be working pretty well. And you can see it on the other side too. So, you know, it just alternates between the two, layers going in that direction and layers going in that direction. So it seems to be working pretty well. And you can also see the layers, you know, if I zoom in a little bit here. So you can see how everything's stacked up, which is pretty cool. You know, it's going to look even cooler when it's actually 2 inches thick. But one thing I also noticed is you can see the seams and how they line up, because the whole thing is built kind of like bricks, you know. So you have a seam and then the seam gets covered, then you have another seam that gets covered, so on and so forth, you know. So it's like that throughout the whole thing. So those only line up like every other layer. You know, you can see it there too. And that means I'm stacking it up pretty accurately, you know. So yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm also pretty pleased with how these angles are turning out, you know, up here and down here. And eventually I actually plan on taking some hardened paper pieces and gluing them inside there and stacking it up and turning this into a fillet, because a fillet in there will be stronger than a corner, but that's just later on. So also, if you look down the side here, you can see that is pretty straight, you know. So you got the top area here. You can see those layers going all the way down, and the whole thing is lined up pretty nicely. So I'm happy with how that's turning out so far. So the next thing I'm going to do to this, once it reaches a very specific thickness, is add the hole here for the seat and the hole in the front for the handlebars. Now the reason I say a specific thickness is because of this. And this probably doesn't make sense, so I'm just going to explain it to you really quick. So first of all, the whole thing is going to be 2 inches thick, both in this direction and the stacked up direction like that. So since I'm going to need a hole right there and there, I've actually got this kind of poorly made template here just to get the idea. So you can see how there's going to be a hole there, and you can't really tell right here in the front, but that right there is going to contact the outside of the hole. So I have this little template right here, and basically I just put it into CAD and just kind of figured out all the dimensions like that. It's pretty quick actually. So basically I've got the 2 inches that it needs to be, and it's going to be like that in both directions. But basically I don't have to worry about this whole situation until this piece right here reaches 0.558 thick. And I don't know if you guys remember or not, but back when I made the kunai, I needed to drill a hole in the main shape of it in order to fit the handlebars. And the best way to do that without the layers splitting, especially if the layers are, you know, going in that direction, you got to drill through the side. Basically, I just made a square hole first and then drilled out the hole that I needed. So if I need a hole that is 1.250, which is what I need for this particular project, basically I just figured out the largest square that can fit inside of that diameter circle, which is actually easier to figure out than you think. Basically from that corner to that corner is the diameter of the circle. So, you know, I just kind of did that and this is what I got. So basically I'm just going to have kind of like a shape like this. So you've got a flat piece, which is the piece I have now. You know, I'm only drawing a section of it because I don't need to go draw the whole thing. But then you've got the hole, which is going to be 1.250, and then another piece, like this, which is the same thickness as the piece I have right now. So the layers are going in this direction like that. Same thing over here, like that. And the idea is I want the layers to surround the hole, but I still want it to be strong. I don't want it to split anywhere. So basically how I'm going to deal with that is after this hole is drilled out like that using the square cutout. So basically if there's a square cutout inside the whole thing, when you put the drill in there, it's going to drill all the way to the corners of this square, but it's also going to remove that, and that. So, you know, minimal number of layers to remove, which means it's less prone to splitting. But anyway, once I have that hole drilled out, I'm going to take a cylinder that is 1.250 on the outside and 1 inch on the inside. So it's going to be, you know, as thick as you can see that outside wall right there from that circle to that circle. So, you know, if I have this hole here that goes down, you know, somewhere down here, it's going to go about 4.5 inches down. So basically I'm just going to take another cylinder, like I just said. This is the outside, and then here is the inside, you know, so that is 1.250, and then the inside is just 1. So if that goes all the way down like that, then the layers going in this direction like that, they're gonna contact the whole outside of this cylinder. So, you know, a cylinder like this has layers that wrap around, you know, they go around like that. So if you combine that with layers going in that direction, it's just going to make the whole thing stronger. So basically it's just a huge pain. And luckily I don't really have to think about this part yet until, like I said, it reaches 0.558. So right now this piece is 0.390, yeah. So just got to add a few more layers until it reaches 0.558. And once it does reach that thickness, I need to start gluing layers going around this shape, or maybe I'll just make the whole component separately. I'm not really sure yet. It's going to be harder to match up the edges if I do that. But if I do just stack it up like this, I need to start forming the square hole like that. So I need to stack it up to 0.884. That's going to be the middle section, and then another piece that's just like this one that already exists, it's just going to go on the other side. So it's like a giant paper sandwich. So hopefully that makes sense at all, and if not, you'll see what I'm talking about later. But basically it's just a matter of getting it to the thickness of 0.558. So, you know, it's quite a few more layers, even though it doesn't really seem like it. Each, you know, set of these panels going across, despite what direction it's going in, takes about an hour. So yeah, it's kind of like the skateboard all over again, but 4 times the thickness. You know, I thought by adding 4 layer pieces at a time it would go a lot quicker, but if you think about it, the skateboard is 1/2 inch thick and I added 1 layer at a time. This needs to be 2 inches thick and I'm adding it 4 layers at a time. So basically it's the exact same thing, but you know, it's come together slowly but surely. And the only reason it's really taken this long to get to this point is because I didn't want to stack it up too thick to where this square hole method wouldn't work, you know, and then the layers would be more prone to splitting or just go off center, you know. So I just needed to make sure that was right, and also, you know, not too thin. So not too thick and not too thin, just right, to the point that I can drill that out properly. But this isn't even the biggest part of the bike. The biggest part is going to be the wheels, because they're 24 inches in diameter. So I don't even know how I'm going to do that yet, but when the time comes, you know, just focusing on this right now, and then I'll focus on the other half of the frame, which goes in that direction, you know. But other than that, you know, what can you do? Also, this is extremely heavy, like I said, heavier than I thought. So I can't even imagine what the finished product weight is going to be. Like, it seriously might be a 100-pound bike or something, or maybe even more. Okay, so really quick, this is the template I'm kind of going off of. So the piece you see me working on right now is that shape right there. The next piece is going to be this, which converges to a circular point. You can see I altered it a little bit. I'll get into that in another video. And you can see the front wheel right there, which is 24 inches in diameter. And that wheel, which is not fully drawn in yet because it's kind of unnecessary right now. But once I finish that front piece, I can start working on the back and hopefully get the frame close to being done and just figure it out as I go. This is by far the biggest project I've ever attempted, so I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but my plan is to get it to work. So that's basically it. I'm just gonna put this back underneath the boards just to make sure everything stays flat, and just keep adding layers until I reach the thickness I need to. So hopefully progress will go faster on this now because, you know, I figured out the next step. So now I don't have to be so cautious, and also don't have to go to school for like a month because of all the circumstances. So yeah, I'm just gonna work on the bike and also the paper M1911. So I'm just gonna be working on projects and stuff, and hopefully things will come together a little bit faster. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, you guys. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below or in a personal message. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to see all the latest updates. And I'll see you guys in the next video.